Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining me for Convertible Conversations. We've been in kind of an extended series on changing our mind about several things that we thought were true and maybe never challenged them at all. Today, that's called repenting in biblical or spiritual language. Today, I'd like to ask you to consider changing your mind about how you see yourself. We all have a way of seeing ourselves, and unfortunately, much of the time it's based on untrue information. Maybe things that we've heard other people say about us, or that we've heard religious people tell us this is how God sees you, or things like that. And we can pile all of those up in the reservoir of our database of our mind, and it just comes out in thinking, well, that's the way I am, I can't change, whatever. Actually, there's a very, very, very unfortunate doctrine in one aspect of Christianity that says all people are born totally depraved and there is nothing good about them and never will be, and God always sees you that way, and the only way to do anything about that is to be covered in the blood of Jesus, so that God then sees Jesus' blood and he doesn't actually see the you underneath that is a horrible, awful mass of depraved humanity. And that version of Christianity teaches that to little kids. And well, you can just imagine how a person sees themselves if they grow up thinking that about themselves and thinking that God sees them that way. Now, that's not true. That understanding of people is patently unbiblical and absolutely not true. As a matter of fact, God sees you exactly the opposite of that. God sees you and me and every single one of us as his cherished, wonderful, divine son or daughter that he made in his image and his likeness, and that he included in the finished work of Jesus at the cross. The old you, he included you with Jesus at the cross. You died with Jesus, you were buried with Jesus, and he raised you with Jesus as a new creation. All of this is done by God that is pure and holy and absolutely right with God. And that's how he sees you, because that's who you are. Now, we don't always act like that. We do things that don't live up to that way that God sees us. But God is God, and he is all-powerful, and he gets to decide what is and what isn't. And he declared you, he said that you are a new creation, that you are pure, holy, righteous, without fault, and that is the way he sees you. Not because he's got magical glasses that transform an ugly you into rose-colored something or other. No, that's because that's the way you really are. You are his treasured son or daughter, created in his likeness and in his image, who he loves so much that he chose to live in you. That's exactly how he sees you. Now, when you grasp that, when you get that, when you know that that's who you are, and you look in the mirror and you see Jesus in you, you see Christ in you, and you see God himself saying, wow, you are the apple of my eye. You are my cherished son. You are my cherished daughter. I love you unconditionally. Everything I have is yours. You are mine, and I love you. I sing and dance over you. When you start to see yourself that way, really see it, not just intellectually, not just able to write down, well, that's what God, no. When you start to see that, you stand up taller, you rate your heads raised up higher, you no longer slump and put your head down and that kind of stuff. You know, when people learn, back in Jesus' day, when people prayed, they prayed with their hands up and their eyes looking up to God. Today, because of the shame that religion and other people have heaped on us, we tend to pray with our shoulders slumped and our eyes down, like we're not even worthy to come before God. You are totally worthy to come before God, because he is your Father. And he says, come to the throne of grace boldly and expect to get grace, because that's where grace comes from. That's where grace is. Hope you can start to see yourself as Papa sees you. It will change your life. Thanks for watching. See you next time.